You're listening to Licensure Lifeline, the podcast dedicated to helping people navigate those tricky licensure tests or counselors just looking to brush up on their knowledge base. This is your host, Matt Lawson, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking motivational interviewing. Motivational interviewing was developed by William R. Miller and Stephen Rollnick. It's a method that is really useful in dealing with individuals that are ambivalent or resistant to change. Unlike traditional approaches that might involve direct persuasion, MI is client-centered and directive. It focuses on enhancing the individual's intrinsic motivation to change and explore their unresolved ambivalence. This is actually a really great strategy that people can use in counseling. I've used it myself. I know a lot of other counselors that use this, but think about those individuals that might want to achieve something in their lives, like, weight loss, or they want to stop smoking, and they can sit there, they can intellectualize why they want to quit, they can talk about their reasonings, but they're just not making the behavior change. It's something that you see a lot in counseling. People can come around to a place where they want to make differences in their lives, yet their behavior just doesn't align with those wants and desires. Motivational interviewing looks to address that. It looks to get people past that ambivalence, past those pieces of themselves that are just resistant to change. At its core, motivational interviewing is really about having a conversation with someone. Um, the key principles of MI include expression of empathy, developing discrepancy, rolling with resistance, and supporting self-efficacy. So let's take a deeper look at some of those key points here. So first, with the expression of empathy, this really involves active listening, something that a lot of counselors need to do and need to really develop as someone that is going to work with individuals. You need to be able to show that you really understand the perspective of the person that you're working with and what they're saying. And this happens through creating this safe, non-judgmental space where they feel heard. So many people are coming to therapy because they're not feeling heard in their lives, and they're really looking to someone that will hear them, that will empathize with them, that will put themselves in their shoes. So again, going back to that smoker example, um, an example of the expression of empathy might look something like this. It sounds like you're feeling really torn about wanting to quit smoking, but also feeling afraid of the withdrawal symptoms. And that's what you're really looking for when somebody is working with you in counseling using this technique. You're trying to read between the lines and get to like really what they're saying about, what is getting in the way of them wanting to make changes in their lives. The next principle here is developing discrepancy. So the goal with this is to point out to the individual the discrepancies that you see, the gaps that you see between their current behavior and their broader goals or values. So it's not really about pointing out the faults of the person, but this is really about gently guiding them to recognize the inconsistency in themselves. So an example of this might be, how does smoking fit in with your goal of being healthy and active with your children? So this question, subsumes that part of the work that you've already done with this individual is really exploring their goals and values, the things that are important to them, the things that they want to achieve through therapy, through quitting smoking, and being able to really look at those things and, explore those discrepancies with the individual in a non-judgmental way, can really help them come around to solidifying just why they need to make the behavior changes. I really like this next one. It's rolling with resistance, which always makes me think of rolling with the punches, which is basically what you're going to be doing here. So instead of confronting the resistance, confronting the person about why they're being resistant, MI encourages rolling with it. So this means accepting the reluctance of this individual that you're working with rather than going against them. If someone says, I don't think I can quit. I don't think I can make these changes with my smoking habit. You might say something along the lines of, it sounds like you're feeling really uncertain about your ability to quit. Can you tell me more about what's making you feel that way? You want to come across as an ally. You want to come across as someone that is on the individual's side. So instead of confronting them, you're going to just roll with them. The last principle here is supporting self-efficiency. This principle really builds upon the individual's confidence in their ability to change. This highlights a lot of the things they've accomplished in their past. You'll see a lot of people coming into situations like this where they're ambivalent, where they're resistant with a lot of thought patterns that are working against them. Thought patterns that oftentimes can be proven wrong, especially when you put them in the face of accomplishments in the person's past, things they've been successful with in the past. So this might sound something along the lines of, you showed a lot of strength in other areas of your life. Let's talk about how you can apply these strengths to quitting smoking. So one of the reasons I really like this technique, this way of doing things, is it draws upon the things that the individual's already done, the successes that they've already had. So it's not like you're sitting there reinventing the wheel with them. You're really drawing from these other successes in their lives and saying, "Hey, you've succeeded here. Why can't you succeed in other places?" This strategy, this technique has been really helpful in my career. I've used it with a lot of addiction treatment. I work with people that struggle with their alcohol use. I also work with a lot of people that are trying to improve their health, weight loss, healthy lifestyle creation, things like that. So you can imagine how helpful this technique is in really getting through ambivalence, really getting through resistance to a place where people are adopting just healthier lives and healthier lifestyles. So let's talk memory strategies for this principle. First up, I'm going to give you an acronym, OARS, OARS. So this is one useful way to remember some of the tenets here of MI. So OARS stands for open-ended questions, A for affirmations, R for reflective listening, and S for summarizing. This makes me think of oars in the water, trying to paddle upstream with my boat, paddling against the resistance, people being resistant. There you go. Of course, with this memory suggestion and any other memory suggestions I come up with, I always recommend that you try to connect it to your world and any other things that you have going on in your world. The more ridiculous you can make it, the better. I find that it's easier to remember things that way. But thank you for listening, and until next time, take care, keep studying.